Cyric is a deity who desires more power. Through his lies and treachery, he now stands as one of the most powerful Faerûnian gods. His mind is a twisted, mad thing, and it is hard to say just what dark and deranged plots he is hatching. I am Ben Dignan, and welcome once again to Religion in the Realms. Titles. Some of the titles Cyric goes by are the Prince of Lies, the Dark Sun, the Prince of Madness, the Black Sun, and the Mad God. Portfolio and domains. Cyric's portfolio was at its largest immediately following the time of Troubles, but over the years his portfolio has become smaller. Deities were reborn, and those portfolios Cyric stole were returned to their former owners. At his height, Cyric's portfolio included murder from Baal, strife from Bane, lies, intrigue from Mask, deception, illusion from Libra, and death from Mirkul. Presently, though portfolios are not stated in any 5th edition sources, I would say Cyric's portfolio now only consists of lies and deception. Clerics of Cyric are suggested to take the trickery domain in 5th edition. Appearance and manifestations. Cyric and his avatar usually take the form of a thin human man with eyes black as night and skin pale as snow. Cyric wields a magic longsword that he calls Razor's Edge. As a deity, Cyric can reach out with his senses to a distance of 17 miles or over 27 kilometers. If his name or one of his titles are invoked, or anything religiously tied to him is within this 17-mile range, he can sense it without issue. No falsehood or lie goes unnoticed by Cyric, and he can easily recall a memory of it 170 days later. Cyric is capable of producing any magic item that helps in deception and lies, or any magic weapon that will be used to kill. It is said that Cyric's avatar will not leave the surface of Toril without having killed at least one person. Cyric might take on one of the following 3 manifestations, the first being a bloody wraith in a person's dreams, the second being a cloud of toxic and poisonous smoke, and the final and third being a whirling dark cloud of human skulls. Personal history. In the long and storied history of the Forgotten Realms, Cyric is a fairly new deity. Cyric once was a mortal born to a lower-class mother in Zental Keep. He was sold into slavery, but eventually escaped and fell in with a thieves' guild. Later on in his life, Cyric adventured alongside 2 other mortals, Kalemvor and Midnight, who would go on to become deities themselves. In 1358 Dale Reckoning, the time of Troubles was in full swing. Most gods took the form of a humanoid avatar when they were brought down to the surface of Toril during this period. An alliance was hatched between the deities Mirkul and Baal to go out and find the Tablets of Fate. Baal found one of the tablets and captured Cyric's adventuring companion Midnight. At this time, the deity of Mask adopted the form of a sword known as God's Bane. This was unusual compared to the other deities who had adopted humanoid forms. Cyric was able to procure God's Bane, and with it slew Baal at Borskir Bridge. Cyric took in some of Baal's divine essence and portfolio at this time. Cyric's former companion, Midnight, killed Mirkul, which left the portfolio of death vacant for a time. Elsewhere, Bane was slain by Torm in battle. Shortly after, Ao gave Bane's and Mirkul's portfolio over to Cyric after Cyric tricked him with the Tablets of Fate. After achieving status as a deity, Cyric made a point of seeking out the deity Lyra and murder her with God's Bane. As a result, Cyric absorbed Lyra's portfolio over illusion. Upon discovering that Cyric had subsumed the positions and portfolios of Baal, Bane, Lyra, and Mirkul, these deities' former worshippers reacted very differently. The majority of the worshippers of Baal regard Cyric as a newly risen form of Baal and retain most of their principles and customs. A rift occurred between the followers of Bane, as some denied Cyric staying true to Bane, while others readily started following Cyric. Regardless, the Bane holdouts were still being granted spells by Cyric due to Cyric's desire to keep up this facade. The changeover from Mirkul to Cyric for Mirkulian worshippers was met with ambivalence. Followers of Lyra went on mostly without cause or concern, believing Lyra's death to have been an illusion or deception on the part of their goddess. In 1361 Dale Reckoning, after Cyric's ascension, in an attempt to solidify his reign over Bane's portfolio and former followers, Cyric called for a purge of the existing Bane holdouts. In an event known as the Bane Death, or the First Bane Death, the Church of Cyric attempted to destroy all temples and holy sites of Bane in Faerûn. Notably at Zhentil Keep, the hammer fell hardest. Still, pockets of Bane worship remained and were aided by the emergence of Yaktu Zim, the son of Bane, down in Faerûn. 7 years later, in 1368 Dale Reckoning, after the first Bane death, Cyric ordered for Zhentil Keep to be destroyed outright in the second Bane death. The keep stood, but not after it had been sieged by giants and dragons. In an attempt to further his influence, gain more worshippers, and thus grow in power, Cyric created the Cyric. The Cyric is both an evil and magical tome that enchants the reader. The enchanted reader believes Cyric to be the most important being in the universe and serves Cyric against their will. The deity Mask read from the Cyric and lost some of his portfolio as a result to Cyric. Though Mask was able to shake off this insanity eventually, he lost a sizable amount of his divine power. A real problem arose when Cyric went and read the Cyric himself. He was driven mad and became delusional to the point of seeing himself as the center of the universe. Cyric abandoned the portfolio of death during his madness, and it was subsumed by Kalemvor. The True Life of Cyric was a strong magical tome created by Ogma and penned by other good-aligned deities to counteract the effects of the Cyric. It tells the true story of Cyric's life, free from the maddening influence, lies, and enchantment of the Cyric. During a trial amongst the Faerûnian deities, Cyric's ability to govern his portfolios were called into question. At this time, Cyric's madness was reason enough for Cyric losing the portfolio of strife to Bane's son, Yaktu Zim. It was at this same trial a chosen follower known as Malik al-Sami read from the true life of Cyric on the witness stand and cured Cyric of his insanity. Eventually, Bane would burst forth out of his son Yaktu Zim and return to the Faerûnian Pantheon once more. 14 years later, Cyric, aided by Shar, sought out and killed Mystra in Mystra's own realm of Dwemerheart. Magic ran wild on Toril as the weave was now uncontrolled, and magical calamities befell the people during this event known as the Spell Plague. The deities Tyr, Lathander, and Sun allied together and imprisoned Cyric for his actions in his own realm. Cyric's sentence is 1,000 years long, and due to his seclusion, Cyric is said to be turning insane once more. With the events of the Second Sundering, Baal and Lyra re-emerged as deities, and I have personally presumed that they took back their respective portfolios from Cyric at this time. Personality. When he was initially raised up to godhood, Cyric was a neutral evil deity. Since he went mad, however, he became a chaotic evil deity and has maintained this alignment ever since. Cyric is deceitful, petty, and a megalomaniac with a fragile mind. He loves to speak in a sarcastic tone and has a sharp tongue. Cyric takes joy in telling lies and leading people astray. It is said that he drinks from a silver goblet which he fills with the tears of those whose lives he has ruined. Personal realms. With the different cosmological models used over the past editions, Cyric may be found in one of three planes. In the Great Wheel cosmological model, used in both 1st edition, 2nd edition, and now once again in 5th edition. After being raised to godhood, Cyric took up his position in Mercule's domain called the Bone Castle in Hades and renamed the city surrounding it the City of Strife. That was until he was kicked out of Hades by Kalemvor and an alliance of deities, lost a portfolio of death to Kalemvor, and retreated to his own realm on the plane of Pandemonium. Now, Cyric's personal realm is called the Shattered Castle, or the Castle of the Supreme Throne, on the layer of Cocytus, on the plane of Pandemonium. Pandemonium is a plane composed entirely of what seems to be an infinite cave system dug throughout a few layers that encompass the plane. Throughout Pandemonium, a constant gust of wind is heard, and the vast majority of those who spend significant time here are driven mad from this unceasing wind. Whether the wails heard on the wind in Pandemonium are real or imagined is up to debate. The plane is also encompassed by an unnatural darkness. Even in some areas, the darkness is enough to absorb even magical light. Cocytus, the layer Cyric is on, experiences more piercing winds due to the smaller size of the tunnels here. What is most disturbing is that there are marks in the tunnels of Cocytus that can conclusively be said to be evidence that these tunnels were carved out. Who carved them and to what end has been lost to time. The Great Tree cosmological model from 3rd edition. In this model, Cyric resides on a plane known simply as the Supreme Throne. Here the winds howl constantly amidst a desolate plain where Cyric's shattered castle stands. Packs of howlers prowl outside the castle grounds. Slotty and other chaotic evil aligned creatures can be found here. Those who die and come to reside with Cyric in this realm look much like they did during their mortal life, though they seem thinner and drawn out. Their insanity is plain to see just by looking into their eyes. Cyric plots up in the highest tower of his ruined castle and thinks his castle to be the finest that there ever was, despite its outward appearance. The World Axis cosmological model used in 4th edition. Cyric's plane in this cosmological model is simply called the Supreme Throne. It consists of nothing more than a desolate, windswept landscape where Cyric's crumbling keep now serves as his prison. Allies and allegiances. Cyric is not liked or favored by any deities and thus has no allies. Enemies. Cyric has many enemies amongst the deities given his past actions. Chief amongst them are Mystra, Kalemvor, Ogma, Azuth, Mask, Tyr, Torm, Danir, Lyra, and Bane. Deity and Avatar stat blocks. For 2nd edition, you can find the stat block for Cyric's avatar in Face and Avatars. Though keep in mind, this is his avatar stat block when he held a good number of portfolios under his control that he has since lost. For 3rd edition, you can find the stat block for Cyric as a deity and Cyric's avatar in Faiths and Pantheons. While in 3rd edition, Cyric lost some number of portfolios he held in 2nd edition, he still retains portfolios from deities who have since re-emerged. Symbols. Cyric's holy symbol is that of a white skull missing its lower jaw in front of a purple or black sunburst. Central dogma. From Faiths and Pantheons, 3rd edition supplement. Death to all who oppose Cyric. Bow down before his supreme power and yield to him the blood of those that do not believe in his supremacy. Fear and obey those in authority, but slay those who are weak, of good persuasion, or false prophets. Battle against any and all clergy of other faiths, for they are false prophets and forces who oppose the one true way. Bring death to those who oppose Cyric's church or make peace, order, and laws, for only Cyric is the true authority, and all other authority must be subverted. Break not into open rebellion, for marching enemies move the false deities into action. Fell one foe at a time, and keep all folk afraid, uneasy, and in constant strife. Any method or means is justified if it brings about the desired end. Presence of the faith. Worshippers of Cyric can be found amongst those who are power-hungry, sadists, con artists, and connivers. As a Faerûnian Pantheon deity, most of Cyric's worshippers are humans. It is not unusual to find out that a corrupt ruler is themselves a worshipper of Cyric, or that they are supported by the Church of Cyric to some degree. The worshippers and clergy of Cyric are usually of a chaotic evil, chaotic neutral, or neutral evil alignment. Some who are not entirely devoted to Cyric may instead invoke his name when they wish to perform an evil deed without anyone knowing. The clergy look upon such individuals with disdain, but they are not opposed to using the less devout for furthering their own goals. A common saying when someone thinks Cyric and or the church is at work is to say a dark sun shines on or hangs above a given situation. While those outside the Church of Cyric seem as nothing more than a deceitful and criminal deity, those in the church tend to hold a different viewpoint. Those loyal to Cyric see him as a regal figure who exudes a dark and powerful aura. It is taught that in every relationship, bonds will wither away and become corrupted eventually. The Church of Cyric is a hated organization throughout much of Faerûn. The clergy and followers are bound to be up to evil plots at any location they may be found. Some clergy and worshippers support other evil organizations like the Cult of the Dragon, but only in small numbers. The followers of Cyric tend to travel all alone or within a small group. With the rampant mistrust in the ranks of the church, few if any place any trust in those who share the same faith. Most do not know how to operate effectively as a team. However, a powerful enough being in charge of a group may be able to direct the group's focus out of sheer fear. The Church of Cyric has had a heavy influence in the Zentarum ever since Cyric ascended. With the return of Bane and the constant infighting amongst the members of the different faiths, Cyric's hold over the organization has waxed and waned. The skull and sunburst are still found to be worn by several members, the most important being the Paraghost. Hierarchy and structure of the clergy. The clergy of Cyric are known collectively as strife leaders. The rank structure of the Cyricist clergy is always in a state of flux. New ranks are drawn up only for those at those ranks to be undone by their lessers in plots and deceptions. These members then establish their own ranks, and the vicious cycle continues. Cyric has not declared anyone in particular head of his church, and clearly is fine with the infighting present within his church. Powerful clerics usually are the heads of different arms of the faith, but other powerful individuals in other classes also may be in charge elsewhere. Some titles that have been heard around Cyric's temples, though, are Dark Master, Hand of Cyric, Watchful Skull, and the Dread Death. Each temple's leader is determined by who within the temple holds enough power and influence over the other clergy members. This fosters a lot of suspicion and paranoia, whereby temple leaders tend to make use of spells and magic items to protect themselves against those beneath them. The church is its own worst enemy at many times, as temples see themselves as rivals in faith. It is not unusual for one temple to declare another heretical, like that seen between the Cyricists from the Mountain of Skulls temple against those from the Twin Towers of the Eternal Eclipse. Cyric is as much to blame for this infighting amongst his clergy. He reportedly speaks to opposing clergy members, providing them with conflicting messages. Responsibilities and duties of the clergy and worshippers. The clergy of Cyric are tasked with going out and eliminating those who oppose Cyric. Whether that be clergy of deities who oppose Cyric or other Cyric worshipping cells that they believe to be heretical. Murder, theft, strong-arming, blackmail, and deception are just some of the evil acts clergy members get involved in. These tactics are utilized to drum up fear of Cyric, and from that fear, hopefully the lay people choose to convert to the worship of Cyric. Some temples have been known to take in converts, and clergy then indoctrinate these converts into becoming zealots who often perish in suicidal missions against enemies of the Church of Cyric. These individuals are then heralded as martyrs. Cyricists reach out to evil-aligned monsters and provide them with healing magic and other services. This is done in the hopes of bringing more powerful beings into the fold of Cyric's influence, but also to have strong members to fight off the many enemies of the Church. Orders and priestly bodies. The Company of the Ebon Spur was an order Cyric called to be created by his church. After a rocky start, the order now specifically targets rival churches and clergy. They are a fanatical group of warriors who favor spiked armor and weapons. The leaders of this company are known as the Spur Lords. These Spur Lords have the ability to channel magic granted to them by Cyric. Spur Lords operate under the belief that through their zealotry, that they will be rewarded one day as saints in the church and servants who directly serve Cyric out in the outer planes. The Flames of the Dark Sun are a body of assassins formed in Om and based out of the Mountain of Skulls temple. Appearance and dress. The clergy of Cyric favor black or dark purple in their dress. Usually their clothing also features silver trim work. They wear silver bracelets adorned with Cyric's holy symbol. These bracelets are worn symbolically to represent their imprisonment and captivity alongside their deity. On holy days, some clergy will paint the symbol of Cyric on their foreheads or on their cheeks. The priests of Cyric are quite capable with disguises and make good use of them. They will dress to match their task. They are quite capable in concealing weapons and armor beneath their disguises. However, if they are tasked with intimidating a target, they are fond of using spiked armor and helmets. Illusion magic is also utilized, though access to it may not be as great as it once was before Lyra returned and reclaimed a portfolio of illusions from Cyric. Rituals. Clerics of Cyric pray for their spells, usually after the moon first appears in the night sky. Cyric's church does not celebrate any holy days on the calendar. Rather, they will hold an impromptu holy day when they capture an item of great power or capture someone of great standing from a rival faith. Such days are called a Day of the Dark Sun. The captured individual is usually sacrificed in Cyric's name. Solar eclipses are seen as a holy event. During this time of veneration of the dark sun, feasts are held, prayers are made, and sacrifices are offered up. Ideally, clergy of Cyric will attempt to capture someone in service to Lathander to offer up as sacrifice. Defeated enemies of other faiths are welcome to convert to Cyric's faith before perishing. Though if they wish to convert faithfully in the eyes of Cyric's clergy, they must go through torture and perform evil rites. General locations of temples and shrines. Cyric's church is widespread and has independent cells in every city. There is little to no communication amongst the cells, as each one is its own independent faction. The church has no governing body in place of governance. In order to keep their presence unknown, due to the hate for Cyric and his church, Cyricists will typically not build new shrines or temples openly. Rather, they will make use of existing structures, such as abandoned houses, dungeons, sewers, or caves, to set up their places of worship. All temples of Cyric have a bloodied sacrificial altar where priests and clerics slaughter their victims in praise. Such bloody sacrifices are said to be necessary by the clergy so that Cyric takes notice of the prayers they offer up to him. specific locations of shrines and temples. The Church of Cyric acts openly and prominently in Om. The citizens of Om do not view Cyric's faith with as much suspicion and animosity as other regions in Faerûn. The church is paid off by merchants who know it's best to avoid the wrath the church can inflict on those who do not pay up. Cyric's faith is also widely present in the Nalanther Isles, Moonsea, and Morandon as well. One of the main and named Cyric's temples is the Mountain of Skulls found in the Cloud Peaks, a mountain range in northern Om. Another temple, the Dark Redoubt, can be found in the Tijarn Hills. Another Omnian temple to Cyric, the Towers of the Eternal Eclipse, comprises 2 towers separated by 5 miles, but these towers are connected by an underground tunnel. These towers can be found in the Small Teeth mountain range. Deep in the woods of Cormanthier lies the Dark Watch. Here the dead god Moander perished and opened up a rift in the forest floor eons ago. An evil magic still emanates from the Dark Watch, turning any wild animal that comes close to it mad. The clergy of Cyric have been known to come and relish in this dark energy, though they cannot remain for too long in fear of the dark energies wreaking havoc on their own minds. Borskir Bridge is not a temple, but it is a holy site for the Cyricis. Here Cyric killed Baal with Godsbane during the time of troubles. While I was unable to find out why the statues to Baal and Cyric were initially erected at either end of the bridge, followers of Mistra did tear them down. Merchants, fearing the possible attention of either of the evil deities, collected the funds necessary to put up even greater statues to the deities at either end once again. Black Feather Bridge is venerated in the same manner, since it was here that Cyric killed Lyra. The Dark God Reformed is the temple to Cyric in Vunlar, where it openly competes with the temple to Shanti. The following are known named temples to Cyric: the Fist of the Future in Hill's Edge, and the Dark Sun in Lork, though this temple likely lies in ruin alongside the town due to a stone giant attack. Rumors of the Church of Cyric's presence have been heard in Ermlapspur, Waterdeep, and Featherdale. A known shrine to Cyric can be found in Tantris. Character options. For 2nd edition, the Strife Leader, the Cyric-specific specialty priest, can be found in the Faiths and Pantheon supplement. The Purifier and the Sword are 2 Cyric-specific priests found in the Warriors and Priests of the Realm supplement. For 3rd edition, the Strife Leader prestige class can be found in the Faiths and Pantheon supplement. The Initiate of Cyric feat can be found in the Player's Guide to Faerûn supplement. And the Spur Lord prestige class can be found in the Lords of Darkness supplement. Continuing my trend of building backgrounds for those who worship given deities, here are my suggested characteristics for a Cyricist worshipper background. For your 2 skill proficiencies, I recommend taking Intimidation and Deceptions. For your language and tool proficiencies, I would take the Disguise Kit and 1 language of your choice. For your equipment, I would take the Holy Symbol and the Criminal's Equipment, though swapping out the crowbar for the Holy Symbol. And finally, for your feature, I would take the Charlatan's False Identity, though to reflavor it to be more in line with the Church of Cyric. Here are a list of subclasses that I think would be thematically appropriate for a NPC or PC to take if they are a worshipper of Cyric. Again, this isn't by any means a definitive list where I tell you that one option is better than any others. It's just a list of subclasses from the various classes that I think are thematically appropriate, and you definitely can choose your own if you find it more fitting. For the Barbarian, I think the Path of the Berserker would be a good choice. For the Bard, the College of Whispers, which can be found in Xanthar's Guide to Everything. The Cleric, the Trickery domain definitely works, but I also believe the War domain would also be suitable for Cyric's clerics. For the fighter, the champion fighter from the player's handbook. For the monk, the Way of Shadows, also in the player's handbook. The ranger, a hunter ranger who goes out after targets for the Church of Cyric, also can be found in the player's handbook. For rogue, well, a lot of the different subclasses from rogue could work. So you have the thief, the assassin, and the arcane trickster from the player's handbook. The mastermind, which is both in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide and Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And finally, the Inquisitive Rogue, which can be found in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And to round out this list, the Wizard, the School of Enchantment Wizard, or the School of Illusion Wizard, which are both found in the player's handbook. Dungeon Master Options. Two particular monsters associated with Cyric are the Banelar and Black Unicorn. Banelars are lawful evil creatures who once served Bane until Cyric gained his profile during the Time of Troubles. After Bane came back, many Banelar returned to the surface of Bane, though some still held out in service to Cyric. Black Unicorns were created by the Red Wizards of Thay. Many evil soldiers who worship Cyric ride these mounts in the Thayan forces. In particular, the Sisters of Cyric are a regiment of Black Unicorn riders composed entirely of female clerics of Cyric. There is no official 5th edition stat block for the Banelar or Black Unicorn, but you can find their stat blocks in the Monsters of Faerûn supplement for 3rd edition. For 5th edition monsters associated with Cyric, from the Monster Manual, I would take a look at Nightmares, the Slotty, the Cambions, the Chimera, the Succubi, and the Incubi. And from Mordecai's Tome of Foes, I would look at the Howler. For your NPC stat blocks, in the Monster Manual, I would take a look at the Acolyte, though with appropriate spells swapped in, the Assassin, the Bandit Captain, the Berserker, the Knight, the Priest, though just like the Acolyte, swapping in appropriate spells, the Spy, the Thug, and the Veteran. From Volo's Guide to Monsters, I would take a look at the Blackguard, the Champion, the Enchanter, the Illusionist, and finally the Warlord. Magic items. While featured in the Lords of Darkness supplement for 3rd edition, the Skullblade magic item can feature in your 5th edition games easily. Skullblades are simply +1 longswords that bear the symbol of Cyric on both hilt and blade. Those who wish to keep the faith unknown will wrap the hilt to cover the symbol of Cyric. The mark on the blade is easily hidden within the blade sheath. Where the Serenishad lies to this day is unknown. While it enchants someone to the point of blind devotion towards Cyric, it is also said to drive the reader insane. The text in this book is said to be ever-changing. Much like Cyric's own magical longsword, Razor's Edge, it is not surprising to learn that longswords are a favored weapon of those in service to Cyric. While not every magic weapon won from or given from the faith of Cyric need be a longsword, the Church of Cyric likely holds a lot of magical longswords in their possession. Now, just to end this section, here's a list of the magic items I think would be appropriate from 5th edition supplements. So, from the Dungeon Master's Guide, I would take a look at the Berserker Axe, the Cloak of Invisibility, the Crystal Ball, and its many variants, the Dagger of Venom, the Dust of Disappearance, the Hat of Disguise, the Mace of Terror, Helm of Telepathy, Medallion of Thoughts, Potion of Invisibility, Potion of Mind Reading, Potion of Poison, Ring of Invisibility, Ring of Mind Shielding, Sword of Life Stealing, Sword of Wounding, the Wand of Fear, the Wand of Paralysis, and +1 to +3 versions of the Longsword. From Xanathar's Guide to Everything, I would take a look at the boots of False Tracks and the Dreadhelm. And alright, with that, I'd like to thank you once again for listening to Religion in the Realms. If you are interested in keeping up with the release of future episodes, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and follow the podcast Twitter account at Realms Religion. These podcasts are also uploaded to YouTube as well. The podcast YouTube channel can be found under Religion in the Realms. If you wish to get in touch with me directly, my personal Twitter is at Shiv's Embrace, or you can now send an email to realmsreligion all lowercase. For those interested, I have posted a link in the video description to a Discord server I've set up. For audio listeners, you can find a link to the invite pinned on the podcast Twitter page. Next episode will be on Eldath, deity of peace, stillness, and groves. Until next time, may Tymora look kindly upon your dice rolls, Helm protect you, and Lathander light your path. Music for this episode, Malicious by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0.